Hi, I've been doing back-to-back videos. So this is my other one, and this is just another guide on another matchup, which is red-purple, which is probably going to be one of your most common matchups. And I think blue steel, not green steel, blue steel into red-purple is. I like it. I think you both have positives when you get on the play. On your draw game is a little bit it is quite interesting how it plays out. I find it's fair. I find it's probably not fair because of the ramping, but I like the tactics behind it. They'll try go under you. You'll try and ramp and remove and then dime. Um, so I've always found the matchup quite fun to play. But on the play, we just roll it. I think on the draw we struggle, but I think that works for both decks. When the RP is on the play, I think they have a bit of an easier turn. They have some in set four now. They've got some almost winning uh, plays, so like Flynn, Sisu, Castle, I think is very hard to come back from if they hit that, and then they keep the pressure up and keep adding to it. Because if we want to invest in removal, that's during our ramp period, so it's a little bit more tricky. That's during our sort of development time when we want to start developing things and ramping and drawing with Hiram. So they'd just be sneaking in so much lore there. But I think this list is pretty good for it now. We've got the one-off Titans, which is we can play because we play a wheel deck, so we can include one-offs. Argus is the latest addition. Basically, Broom is pretty good for green steel, but I'm just not struggling with that matchup, and the Broom is really good for that matchup. But if I could, I'm trying to focus more on red purple and more on red blue because I'm seeing more of them. I don't see as many green steels in my local meta. So yeah, we put him in there. The reasoning is if you get him down on two, he's going to stop Flynn activating, and of course he's going to stop Flynn activating if they set up a Fox. And in some scenarios, it will also stop Flynn activating with a Sisu. And now we also have a perfect trade into the 3-drop Sisu. Someone has mentioned it trades perfectly into the big Sisu, which is really cool. It does do that. But yeah, the game plan for red purple is on the play we just dime and go over. We just go over them with ramp and dime. They'll be as long as they haven't set up a castle or they're not questing for tons, we can almost ignore what they're doing and just look for the dime and look for dime targets and make sure we have the ink for it. Um, it's the one thing about it as well. You can once you've got a dime developed, it's gonna stick. Red and purple, they don't have any removal options for the dime. So we can just ramp up, set it up, and just tap things, and then we can work out the maths and say, as long as they can't win in, say, 4 turns, we have four, and we had, say, 4 targets. So we had 2 bells, 2 aerials, and we're like, as long as you can't win in 4 turns, I can play something, tap it, they'll remove it, because they probably will remove it, and then we can just keep doing that until we win. So that's sort of a rough overview of it. Cards that don't really feel that important is, of course, Beast is in there. Uh, Beast and Cogsworth, they're not going to do much in this, and as soon as they exert to Sing, they will just get traded with by Maui, which of course sucks, but it is what it is. I'm usually ramping over to set up a Tinkerbell because I like doing the 1 damage across their board. That sets me up to play another Tinkerbell if I wheel or something, or I can use any of my removals like Grab Your Swords. But yeah, on the play, actually, I think on the play, blue steel into red purple is the most fun I have in Lorcana. I really like it. I love the wheeling, and I love every aspect of it. But of course, it's the simple Mickey build. It's not the one jump ahead build. So we want to get a Popsicle, but it's not die hard that we get one. We want to get a Smee. I'd say it's didn't used to be this die hard that we this die hard. It didn't used to be this important that we get a Smee, but I think it's become quite important because of how aggro red purple has become recently with the way it tries to go under with the Flynn. So we want to set up a 2-drop on that turn. If anything, it's just going to trade with what they have, but also it will stop Flynn activating. And then of course Quill or Mickey. Quill's pretty good, but Mickey will of course get you the job done as well. I'd rather set up a Quill and ramp to 5. So we basically, if anyone wants this at really basic turns, on 3 we skip and do our turn 4 because we get to 4 ink, and then we come back. We can play a 5-drop. On the play, this is amazing because we are 1 ink ahead by being on the play, and now we're even ramping further ahead. You can get to a point where you get 6 ink play a Tinkerbell or a Cogsworth or a Beast or even an Ariel if you want to. Sing Whole New World, remove their entire hand, get yours, and you can go up to 8, and they'll be at about 5 ink or so, I think, aren't they? And you can just keep doing that, basically. Just keep refreshing your hand, keep burning everything in there. So you might even burn their Be Prepared or their answers, and just keep throwing things on the board, singing Whole New World, throwing things, get the dime out, dime tap. You'll be having double their ink, and it's just a really fun thing to do, I think. So on the play, yeah, that's what it's that simple. Popsicle, Smee, get the ramp, sing Whole New World. I think that's your line pretty much every game. The only time you do it is when you don't find Whole New World or you don't find the 5-cost singer. But you can go for Hiram, and usually Hiram will just link me to that Whole New World and that 5-cost singer. Um, I like doing the wheel. I like burning the cards in their hands, and I like looking for more and keep throwing stuff in Inkwell. So I will opt for that as soon as I can. But Hiram's pretty good for that. And the only problem now is Hiram will get removed quite early in set 4. I'd say, he's guarantees you the 2 cards, and then you have a very small chance of getting the next 2 cards from the questing. But yeah, he's still going to link you through to the next wheel, and then just keep going for it. I think you need to use the wheel on the play versus red purple, otherwise don't play a wheel version of the deck, because this is a moment when it really shines how good it is. And I'll just gloss over the 2 Rugduck Manas are really good in a Be Prepared meta. The 2 things that you get out of it is either they will invest resources to remove McDuck Mana, or it gives you 2 lore. So, that's a brilliant thing. And if you've got a really heavy board and a 9-cost location, they might go, I don't know what to do with this. Even if they run everything into it, they might be, I don't know how to deal with this situation. So you just keep getting your 2 lore, and then you can dime to finish it off. I've talked a lot about on the play there because I really like that, and I hope everyone gets to experience it. On the draw, it's a little bit harder. We get 1 behind. Mickey becomes fairly redundant. Wheeling is pretty bad. We can still do it if they're in a position where they are drawing very well. So like they are getting foxes and they're getting rabbits, and bouncing it, and they've got a big hand basically, or they're getting their 3-drop Maleficents as well, and they're frenzing, and they're actually just really getting a lot of draw. We can be like, okay, I'll burn that with Whole New World, but on the draw we don't really want to because they have 1 less card in hands. They might just end up drawing down to 2 cards, and we're like, well, we don't want to give you 7 now because you've basically outdrawed yourself. So we will rely on the Hiram a bit more here, which means we do want to get the 1-drop. I find the 1-drop isn't make or break it because it costs you 1 and we ramp, so we will have time to afford to play that at some point if we miss it on the turn 1. But yeah, we're going to need something on the boards to start trading. We want to get it to our 5-cost singer. One of the best plays really to do, I think, is get a Smee set up and then Quill ramp to Tinkerbell. And this will also mean we threaten a castle because we'll do exactly 7 damage. We can start trading with the board. We basically want to play quite on the defensive because we're 1 behind and they will try and rush us. But besides that, I think it's very simple. Rise of Titans is pretty nice as a 1-off, but yeah, we want to make sure we're always threatening a castle. We're keeping their Flynn in check as well. We're keeping their board in check as well. So we could play a Tinkerbell, then sing a Grab Your Swords, or we could, Mickey pop to a Cogsworth, sing Grab Your Swords, play Tinkerbell to do 3 damage across the board. He is kind of upset in set 4 because Sisu, this card, I don't understand why they made it so powerful, has 4 health, quest for 2. So our deal with Grab Your Swords and Tinkerbell doesn't work. It used to be that we could, ramp up to the Cogsworth, get it set up, sing Grab Your Swords, play the Tinkerbell, and we could wipe out a board of, say, Minnie Mouse Surfers, rabbits, and foxes, and all that stuff. But we can't do that anymore because they've got this card that I think is really powerful. But the best thing to do for location on the draw is just threaten that you can remove it. Because once they've got it down, it's just going to be tricky. Even if you have to invest time into removing it, the 1-off Titans would be the nicest answer. But yeah, I'd say after all that rambling, I'd say keep their board in check, keep your ramp going. If you get to a point where you think, right, they've only got 8 lore, so even if I wheel and they can play a lot more cards, I might wheel into my dime and then I can start diming for 5 lore a turn. Because on the draw, you end up getting to a point where you just have to race, I think. That does happen a lot into red purple. I'm not even gonna say that's exclusive to the being on the draw. I think on the play as well, you will get to a point where it's just like, okay, I've got about 12 ink. I think I can find my dime. I'm just gonna find it and play it because all my opponent right now is doing is just playing be prepared every turn. So yeah, I'm gonna get into some mulligans because I did this on the last one and I thought that was quite fun. So from here, this is not a terrible hand. Of course, we get rid of the dime. Bell is a bit too early. Argus is good, but I still think Smee is good. And because we're on the play, as long as we quill down enough, we can make it so Sisu is actually got. We have less cards in our hands, so Sisu won't activate. I'd keep the Tinkerbell. I think that's might be right. Mainly because I want to. Now that I have the quill, I want to ramp to play her to threaten the board. Um, I would probably keep the Hiram if we found the Porp and we still had the quill, but because we don't, I think I want to send it away for some chances at some better things. I don't really know what the better things are, but we'll see. So that's ended up being quite nice. I mean, so what we'll do is ink the Tamateur because we're gonna want it wheel, and it's probably too early for us. Play this, fine, draw whatever we want. One of these can go if they have to go. Get the Smee down, get the Fish Book down, quill it. Hopefully we get a wheel at some point, or a Hiram to keep the draw going. I still think I'd stand by removing that Hiram, but that's pretty standard RP playing into RP with BS, and pretty standard for what I'd go for. There's cards like Baboom as well. I'll just gloss over this quickly. Um, I don't think it's very good. If you had the option of having Baboom in your hand or Smee, and they've got the Flynn, this is of course only on the draw. I think it's still better to set up the Smee, because if all you've done on your turn is saying I'm going to remove theirs, and then come back to me, I think it's better to develop the Smee. But that's just how I'd do it. I don't think Babooming a Flynn, if that's gone for anyone's mind. I don't know why I went on that tangent. I just thought it was good to mention. So this has some key cards we really want. We don't want Beasts. We don't want the Bells. It's too early. We don't want McDuck Mana. We do want these two cards, but we haven't hit ramp. So I would, probably be like, get rid of the Hiram. Hopefully we hit ramp. We don't, but we get another Hiram. We get a bunch of draw cards. So going back, we'll draw for turn. Hopefully get ramp. Ink Smee. Play one of these items. Now, if you don't hit ramp by the time it comes to turn 2 and it's come back to you, you can set up your Smee, or you've got 2 items. So you could just play both items to draw more cards, and hopefully you get to a point where you find your ramp, because it is still blue still, and we don't ramp, we sort of lose. But I think that comes down to what have they played. If they've played a Flynn, it might be good to just play your Smee to stop their Flynn, and then say, right, I'm just going to pray that my next scorer is going to be a Quill or a Mickey. And sometimes that's just what you have to do, I think. Because if we go force fist, and we don't even draw the ramp, we're so far behind. But that's just how I'd look at it. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any more points to go over. I don't think so. But yeah, it's good fun. Like I say, Errol's really good. Tremaine is coming back into the decks, but because we play the Mickey build, it's really nice to keep him around just to stop Ariel. And this is something that I'll mention actually as well. This is a good point to mention. Just before I end the video, Big King Disputed and Tremaine, always keep in mind how much ink they have, and if they are able to play it, or if they have a rabbit set up, make sure you know that they can sing it. So keep a Mickey on board, keep a Smee on board, keep an Arcus on board, keep something you don't mind dying, if you have a Dime Target or a 5-Tross Singer on board. Like I say, Mickey and Smee are probably the best 2 options there. But if it has to be, I don't know, let's say a Hiram, because you ran out of items, or you're just going to sing Whole New World, it can be a Hiram. But always keep in mind the 4-cost Big King Disputed. Keep in mind that if you play a Tamatoa and they have 6 ink, there's likelihood they're just going to Tremaine it back. So if you have the options to set up something else, that's also great. Say if you were at 10 exact ink, and this is after you've inked, and you play Tamatoa, and you're like, I have 2 left to play a Smee or an Argus. Alright, let's play one of those 2. I think that might be the better play than playing the Porpsicle that you draw from the Tamatoa. It just adds protection to it, and it might even force them to just play B Prep or something. So yeah, keep B King Disputed in mind. Always threaten castles. or threaten removal for castles. So even sometimes most players will realize that if you have a Smee on board, along came Zeus and a Smee trade is just going to clear it. So they might not play into the castle there. Um, and I'm trying to think of anything else. Uh, no, I think there's some good points there I've made. I'm quite sure there are loads of more things to mention. Looking at this, I don't think there's many things you'd let it go, but besides that, it's fine. Yeah, and expect your hero only to get 2 draw, but anything more than that is brilliant as well. And also into red purple, what is quite nice versus red blue. Red blue of course hyper ramp, so they can afford to do a lot of removal and then other things on their turn. Red purple can't. Red purple might play a brawl, but that's going to be their turn. So keep that in mind. That's not a bad thing. If you've played Hear 'em Draw 2, and then done some other things, and they just play brawl and then ink and pass the turn, it's like that's not a bad turn for you. You're 2 cards up. They didn't do anything to advance their board. They just removed your Hear 'em. And then as long as you've got other options to keep you going, I say you could go into a whole new world and just reset everything. And once you whole new world, then that's really just meant they've done nothing on that turn. But yeah, as I say, if you go into set 4, just sort of remember Be King Undisputed and remember Tremaine is back. So thank you.